Yeah.
Oh, we're live.
Oh, I'm just sitting there. Hooray! Are you gonna join? I'm sure no one's in here right now, but hi everyone.
Hello.
This is NOVL. Well, this is LBYR, this Little Brown Young Leaders. Today we're doing like a roundtable where we're going to answer some of your questions about different like departments and everything. So if we want to all introduce ourselves, starting with.
Hi, I'm Rupai. I'm an editorial assistant.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I'm a design assistant.
I'm Kelly. I'm also a design assistant.
Hi, I'm Valerie. I'm in digital marketing.
I'm Natalie. I'm in trade marketing.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm a publicity assistant.
Cool beans. Cool. Okay. So, all right. So the first question that someone asked is, "How are you all?" So how are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. It's Friday.
Yes.
It's Friday. And I said, I hope you guys have a good day. Well, we hope you guys have a good day as well.
So sweet.
All right. So, another question. The next question, like most common one, is like introduce yourself. So, we already said our names and job titles. So, like, give a general gist of what you guys do.
Okay. I'm an editorial assistant, so my job is a lot of communicating with authors and answering their questions, mailing things to them, and writing copy for books, as well as reading submissions.
I help design the book jackets and the covers for the arts and the paperbacks and the audiobooks and lots of administrative stuff, lots of emails, and oh man, help me out.
I also design jackets. I work more with picture books, so I also work with like kind of the illustrations and the artwork, all that administrative stuff, answering calls, emails. I also like do things like process invoices and fun stuff like that.
Okay, so the general gist of what I do is I have the honor of running all the social media for NOVL and 2 channels for LBYR. And I also manage like the community for NOVL, so I read everyone's reviews. I manage the website. I oversee basically everything that happens with NOVL. And I do some picture book and middle grade stuff, but that's what the digital marketing assistant is going to do eventually someday. Yeah. And so I'm in trade marketing, like I said earlier. I do things more like associated with traditional marketing. So I do a little bit of sales. I do a little bit of advertising. But then my job like also crosses over a lot with digital marketing and helping write a lot of like long form content for the blog, like writing the newsletter, just like helping out with stuff like this. That's what I do. What do you do, Morgan?
Yeah, so I work in publicity, and so basically what that means is we reach out to media outlets, we plan events, we talk to people about how passionate we are about these books and try to get as much attention for the books as we can. So that can include talking to the New York Times about the new upcoming books that we have, but also it can mean sending a book to the Seattle Times and making sure that they're talking about our book as well. And so it's about getting different media alerts, but also just getting attention for everyone to see our book and to read it. So our books.
Yay. Yeah, so we only publish one.
Yeah, just one book.
Just one book. One book. Yeah, so a lot of our jobs kind of intertwine sometimes. So like a lot of times, like obviously me and Natalie work really close together, but like we do work with Morgan, we work with Kai, we work with design. So like, but sometimes we don't know what we like each other does. Does that make sense? Well, I like can't speak, but like sometimes we actually don't really know. So like it's really interesting hearing like everyone describe their own job because I think obviously we know it best. Okay, so the next question is, what is your educational background? You can start this time.
Yay.
Switching it up.
So I graduated from Appalachian State University, North Carolina, after 4 years, and love Appalachian State. So if we have any App State fans, go Nears. And then I spent a year in advertising, and then after that, I went to the NYU Summer Publishing Institute, which was a phenomenal experience. If you're looking at getting into the publishing industry, I definitely tell you to check it out because it got me where I am today. So those are my 2 things. Cool.
You're welcome. I just graduated from Ball State University, which is in Muncie, Indiana. Go
Cardinals, with a degree in creative writing, and a minor in professional writing. So that's my educational background. I just graduated in May, and so now I'm here. What's your educational background?
What's your educational background? Okay, so I went to Rutgers University in New Jersey. Go Scarlet Knights if we're doing that. Yeah, so I majored in actually majored in political science and minored in Chinese. So I am not an English major or creative writing major. But yeah, that's what I did.
Cool.
On to you, Kelly.
I went to Southern Oregon University in Oregon, small school. Go Raiders, I guess. We're not a big sports school, more of an artsy school. I couldn't really make up my mind. I did kind of like an interdisciplinary major I made myself, which is like digital arts and English, but it's mostly like I just kept changing my major and I had to do something about it, so that's what I did. And then I went to the Columbia Publishing course, which is like the NYU publishing course. I've heard good things about NYU too. Columbia was fantastic. Also helped me get here. You learn so much about the publishing industry and all the different kinds of jobs there are. So if you're interested in getting into publishing, I do recommend looking into either of those.
I went to Loyola University Chicago. What up, Ramblers? No one knows.
Thanks,
that.
Morgan.
I don't know.
I know.
And I'm currently getting my master's at Pace University. And yeah.
I went to DCU in Richmond, Virginia, go Rams, and I studied psychology. I actually do care about my sports team. I like stayed overnight for some basketball games.
No, we do. Can we go back? I totally forgot. So journalism major. I don't even think
I didn't say mine either.
Sorry. I'm minored in graphic design and I'm doing my master's in publishing. Did I say that?
Yeah.
I said master's. All right. That's it.
And I'm also at Pace. Me and Ellie were in the same class, and
yeah.
I'm getting my master's in publishing.
Aw, one big family.
Yeah.
Also, if you guys are wondering why there's an extra chair next to Rakaya, it's because one more person is joining us, but she's out with her friends right now. So
She's like
better
all
than us.
stare.
Shade.
yeah.
Shade.
No, it's all good though. Anyway. All right, next question. All right,
Moving on.
so what is your professional and work background? So I guess like going just like talk about your internships, maybe something I guess like relevant to the publishing industry. I could also go on about my retail industry. Go ahead.
I worked as a server. I'm just kidding. So I actually, before working here, was not in the publishing industry. I worked at a advertising agency in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's called Moto Agency. If anyone's watching this, great agency. I gained a lot of experience there doing different things, especially that helped me in this job today, like office work that I didn't know. For example, how to use a scanner. I didn't realize that. They don't teach you that in college. But I also learned a lot of insightful things about the marketing industry, so different trends, what works and what didn't, and it was a business-minded agency, so I learned a lot about business that I never gained. And since I didn't mention it, in college I majored in creative writing and literary studies, so I had no idea what business was or how it worked. So it was really beneficial to have that as one of my first jobs. So and now I work here and I'm learning so much. So yay. Yeah.
Congratulations.
You too.
Also, before can you add how long you've been here? Just so everyone, yeah.
This is my 9th week, so it'll be 10 next week. So very short amount of time.
Yes. I have also technically have only been in this marketing position for less than 2 months. I started a little bit after you, but I was the summer marketing and publicity intern. So I've been at LBYR for about 4 months now. This was my first professional job, but I had a lot of like jobs that I did in college. I was like a TA. I was an emergency room medical scribe. Weird. I was like a desk worker. But so this is my first like big girl 9-to-5 adult job. I had a lot of publishing internships beforehand, though. Like I said, I was the LBYR marketing and publicity intern.
I had an internship at Guernica magazine, which is an online global arts and politics literary magazine. And then I had an editorial internship at Writers House Literary Agency. So that's my professional background.
Does anyone else want to know what a medical scribe is?
Okay, that was my first job, by the way. I worked on the boardwalk and she worked on the medical scribe. So let's just put that in perspective. So I feel like it sounds a lot fancier than it actually was. I was the way that it worked at the hospital that I worked at was I would be each shift that I had 8 or 10 hour shift I would be paired with a doctor, and I would just follow them to all of their patients' rooms and help them make their charts. And so as they would ask the patient questions or do exams or do different procedures, I would write down this is what they said, this is what the patient said, this is what happened, this is what prescription they prescribed, this is what happened next. So it was mostly just documentation. But yeah, it was interesting.
When did you work there?
I was 18.
Okay. I was she's gonna be 15.
No, I'm secretly a prodigy. I'm a genius. I am actually a doctor, surgeon, lawyer, astronaut, and just I just wanted to be in publishing, so
For fun, on the side.
for fun. This is my side gigs. So what's your professional background? My professional background is okay. So I've been here for a year and a half, I think. So I think I've been here the longest out of everyone here. So before this, I was in school. So I had an internship at an advertising agency that focused on nonprofits. So we did work with nonprofits mostly, and I did a lot of graphic design, social media work there. And then before that, I was, maybe this is relevant, maybe this is not, but I managed a bubble tea store at my college.
So relevant.
So relevant. But I managed that, and I did all the marketing promotions for that, and I did all the graphic design, all the social media. I hired everyone. I did payroll. I did all of that stuff. So that's, I guess there are more. I did an internship at this apartment rental company. I did another internship at this startup down in Tribeca. I worked on the boardwalk. I worked at Chipotle before. Worked at Barnes and Noble. So I worked at a spa. Yeah, I had a lot of jobs, man. Anyway, yeah. So that's my professional background.
Cool. Everyone has so many interesting jobs. Oh my gosh. I worked in a bookstore through college, a college bookstore, but while I was in college, I went straight from college to the Columbia Publishing University here. So this is my first professional and publishing job. But in college, I worked as a social media, marketing, graphic design manager for an arts and research conference at my school. And then later I worked at our on-campus museum, and that was pretty fun. Very nice, laid back jobs. So this is a little bit more professional, but I definitely learned a lot about what I do now from there.
So, man, going back, how far back are we going?
Go all the way.
Because I know through college, I guess I just did. I was a radio broadcaster for my university. For my university news station. Yeah, that was really cool. And then I did. I was a tutor for a circus STEAM after school program. That was the best because it was we would teach kids self-esteem through the learning and practice of circus.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, so I can juggle.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thanks for her to juggle. Please speak in your radio host voice while juggling. Yeah, the next Instagram story will just be Ellie juggling.
Yeah. And then after I graduated, I went back home to Houston, Texas. I was a graphic designer for 3 years in the oil and gas industry. Super fun.
There she is.
Oh,
man.
Hi.
Live people.
I brought Mrs. Fields cookies.
Oh.
You're so precious.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Hi.
All right. Who are you?
Okay,
Yeah.
I also already ate some of these. But one of them looks really pretty.
Okay, sorry. So I guess, and then after 3 years, I was like, oh, thank you. Sorry, we interned together at SNS over the summer. So after I moved up here to get into publishing, I, did a semester, 2 semesters, 1 semester.
We did 8 weeks.
Thank you. And then this past summer I was interning at SNS and have been working here for the same time as Morgan and Kelly. We started on the same day.
Oh yeah.
I answered for you.
The 3 of you started on the same day.
Yeah.
We started a week after.
Yes. And Makai started
2 weeks after.
Yes.
Yeah. So my background, after I graduated college, I worked in trade association for aviation in the membership department. Yeah, it was super cool. Harrison Ford was a member. I never met him, but some of my coworkers did. And then our CEO would sometimes be like, yeah, I'm just like texting Harrison.
You can text.
And then after that, I moved to New York to go to Pace, and I interned at Swoon Reads at Macmillan for like 9 months, and then I interned at Simon Pulse for like 3 months, and then I came here like 6 weeks ago, I think.
9 months ago.
Yeah.
We're still going around the same.
Let's start from the beginning for Anna. Now this is these next 5 minutes will be Anna's. While we all eat cookies. Okay, so the first question
This is only with a fork, so it's still clean.
Yeah. All right, so the first question is, how are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
All right, and then so you're gonna introduce yourself, your name, your job title, a general gist of what you do, your educational background, and your professional background, like how you got into publishing, or like
Okay.
up leading up to publishing.
Okay. My name is Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Hi.
Hi, Anna.
I am an assistant editor at LBYR. I support the publisher and the director of nonfiction and Poppy on both of their lists. So I do pretty much picture books through young adult, fiction and nonfiction. Yeah, that's what I do here. So did you talk about what editorial does in general?
Yeah, but like your description was better, so go on. Staff.
So editorial has, they're sort of like the point person for the book as it moves through the publishing process. We read submissions, we acquire something, we bring it in, and then you obviously edit the book, but you also sort of are the person who coordinates with design as you're making the cover to say like what you want the cover to look like, with marketing to figure out how you're going to promote the book, with publicity, and bringing everything back to the author. So that's what I do. I went to Wellesley. I graduated in 2011. I studied political science.
What's your mascot?
The blue.
Go blue.
Go blue.
Oh, thanks.
Wow, we didn't all get our support from each other. Anna gets all the support.
Now this is a women's college, so that's what that's like. And then I went to graduate school at Simmons for children's lit. I graduated there, I think, in 2015, but maybe it was 2014. I'm very old now. And then I worked at a literary agency at Donadio and Olson for about a year. And I also worked as an assistant to a man who worked in finance and wanted to write a memoir. And that just felt relevant because it was still like editing, kind of.
It is.
How did that go?
It was interesting. He had a lot of money. So he just sort of essentially commissioned someone who worked full time, which is how I was also able to be like an unpaid kind of ongoing intern / assistant at an agency for a long time. And I just sat there in the office and he would come in for like 5 minutes a day and be like, let me tell you a story about Harvard. And I'd be like, and then I'd like sort of rewrite it and edit it and compile it. And I would also go through all of his personal documents from his whole life and like pull stuff. He once got an email from Barack Obama sent from my BlackBerry. Where he, at the beginning of Obama's like first Senate campaign, I think, gave money and then also was like, here's some ideas and like tips. But he was like so rich that Obama wrote back, thanks, Frank. So I got to read that email. And then I worked at HarperCollins as an assistant in their children's department for 2 years, and then I came here about a year ago.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's my first time being here.
Oh, I said welcome back. Back to slip that and then welcome.
Thank you.
Period. Yeah, so you've been here a year.
Yes.
Ish. Yeah. And then
6 weeks ish.
Oh, 9 weeks? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Alright.
9.
let's go with that.
9.
Yeah, year and a half.
I'll just go like 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months.
Yeah.
All right.
Val, you're like our dad.
That was such an office moment. Where you just looked into the camera.
I watch too much, like, I don't watch The Office, admittedly, but I watch a lot of Parks and Rec, so maybe that's where I get it from. All right, so what aspects of your job were the most challenging in the beginning? Start with Morgan.
Okay. Why are we starting with me? So one thing that really helped, this is not the question, but was coming from the Publishing Institute immediately into here. So I only had in here. So I only had 2 weeks. And so it was really great because I was able to take all of that and bring it in here. I think the most challenging part was taking on the things that my predecessor did that I maybe would do differently or wasn't sure how they did things, but thankfully I had Natalie to help me since she was a good segue into that. So just learning how everything was done here specifically and wanting to do it as best as I could was probably the most challenging part. But our team is so great, as you can see. So it was easier as time went on to learn that stuff. But I'm also still learning a lot, and so I'm sure there are more challenges that are going to pop up that I can't even predict. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. In a month, Morgan will have her own live show.
Right. All the things I'm still struggling with.
Struggle bus. Yeah. No, great.
Good
The
job.
36-hour continuous live stream. Alright, so just like a live stream of you doing your work at your desk. You're just like
That's a gift I need in my life.
we got this.
Yeah, same shit.
I do too. Yeah, I was just thinking.
Oh
boy.
I totally watched
We're
that.
gonna
Is that like tomato?
No.
We're gonna get into
I think it's because an
before.
I should make it a soft G. We're an editorial, so that's
So
I know that.
So what is the correct phrasing? Jeff.
I mean,
Jeff.
it's
I
a
say
debate.
yeah.
I say Jeff.
No. Alright, what do you guys Who said yeah? Who said that 8 people watching right now?
That's still more people watching than at the table.
Oh,
This is
true.
a
Wait, one of
successful
them is Natalie watching.
So
So it's the same.
So it's the same exact. Anyway, all right. What was the most challenging?
What's the most every day is a struggle. No. I think I'm just like the transition into like just marketing in general, because like most of my background has been in like in an editorial position. Like I've like studied like writing, and I studied like novel writing and like looking at it from like an author's perspective, and then like most of my like internship experience before like this year had been focused like so heavily on editorial. Just like coming onto the marketing side, it was just like the technical language and the actual stuff that people in just like general like just marketers do. Like I didn't know what advertising copy was. I was like, I don't know how money works. I don't know how sales works. I don't know how to plan like an advertising campaign. I don't know like what like ads work best and stuff. So it was cool being like, okay, like I know the market. I'm familiar with like these books. I'm familiar with like this audience, and I'm really excited to be in something more audience facing. But just like transitioning like from those like different like mindsets with those like different like hats, just like my reader hat and like my editor and like literary agent hat, and like now I'm wearing like a marketing hat. So that was probably the roughest, the most. I have a lot of hats. I don't like hats. Yeah, that was probably the most challenging part for me.
Cool. I'm glad you're here though.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm glad you have your marketing hat on now. I don't know. Anyway. All right, so the most challenging part of my job in the beginning, and honestly probably now, is that digital marketing is such like a new subset of marketing, especially in publishing right now. And like honestly, right now I'm the only person in digital marketing, so it does like get really tough. The most challenging part is like being able to like balance everything and being able to fulfill, I guess, like all the requests, and like being able to fulfill all the things that I want to do for like Novel and for LBYR and everything is really tough to jump from project to project to project all the time, especially since like being the only person in digital marketing is this like the whole hat thing. Like I have to like know how to edit videos, like then I had to jump onto the website, then I had to jump onto social media, then suddenly I have to like work Excel for some reason. So like it really depends. Like I had to learn data analysis all over again just for this job, just so I can like go through the data and everything. But it's challenging, but it's also really rewarding to like be able to do so many things. But yeah.
All right. What are the things I'm still struggling with? A lot of like the sort of technical things that have to do with design, because before all my jobs were so much more low key, like just design something pretty and then it's good, we're good at it. But like here it's, you know, like transferring files to the FTP correctly, making sure they're zipped correctly and all this stuff, and staying really organized. Because I know I put I was organized on my resume, but in reality, like it's the problem with files. You have to be super, super organized because you constantly, when you're designing, you have so many files coming, you just have to constantly be organizing them. And I wasn't really good at that at first, but I'm getting better. So that's been some good challenges. Yes, I'm growing.
Every time I save a file on my computer, it's like, oh, what do you want to name this file? And I'm just like, enter. It's like on my desktop. Anyway.
That's so strict. Yeah.
So, like the acronyms, is that?
Yeah.
That is such a big deal for me because I'm getting emails like, "Hey Ellie, how's HTTYD?" And it's like, "Well, I'm working on how to train your dragon." What is this HTTYD that you speak of? And so that like 1P also is different from 1PP. Like,
I don't know the difference.
yeah, one
Really? 1P is
Yeah,
I didn't even know 1PP like.
What's 1PP?
1PP is first pass pages, so like for the news.
Oh.
And then like
okay,
1P is for the jacket.
I was like, I don't even know what PP is.
Well,
Yeah.
I've emailed a lot of authors with their manuscript being like, here's your 1P.
I know.
I've been like, I'm just gonna do 1P because 1P is enough.
I gave the wrong information in a meeting yesterday. Oops. Reminder, follow up on that.
For when you watch this later. It's like midnight, she's like in bed like watching it, she's like, oh crap.
I was impressed too. I was like, oh, you got it.
I was so impressed too. That was mine. I did not have it.
Your delivery though, your
Yeah,
delivery
it
is
was good.
fantastic.
I was so confident.
Yeah.
But the hardest part, I think, of everything is that there's so much more that goes into designing a book than I thought. And so it's not just here's the cover and here you go. It's like, okay, but this has to be like spaced. Oh, sorry. It's like this has to be spaced really perfectly. Or hey, this file doesn't work because you have a DMAX issue. And if you don't know what DMAX is and you're interested in design, just wait. You'll learn.
So I only get through my job because I sit next to Anna and I ask her 10 questions a day. She
That's
always
not
answers.
true.
It
She
is
asks
true.
me 2 questions a day, and both of them are like, "I'm so sorry. Even though I've been working here a whole month, I have another question."
Oh, she prefaces all her questions.
No, that's just me being like, you should be asking nonstop questions. I still go ask people questions, and I'm like, you don't ask that many questions.
Anyways, she was my savior. But the hardest part, I think, is keeping up with reading. I thought reading would be the biggest part of my job, but it's the smallest, and I never have time to actually read the submissions I have. So balancing that, you know, probably gonna have to read on the weekends and stuff. Terrible.
But on the weekends. Well, I
Not
guess when
us.
it's not reading for like
Not us.
pleasure, and then you're like,
That's true.
I don't.
Can't say that.
When I started, I didn't understand about sorting inboxes, and I would my emails when I leave them there. But like when I started and I first had Outlook, when I started at an office job like 4 years ago, I would read emails and I'd be like, well, I've read that email, and I wouldn't delete it. I wouldn't put it in a folder. So I just had like 6-month backlog of like 10,000 emails, and I would just search through it every time I wanted to find anything. Not a good way to do your job. So that was hard to then like, I could never go through and sort them because then I was still getting in new emails. So the exciting thing about getting this job was I started from a blank slate, and now my favorite thing is deleting emails after I've dealt with them. Yeah, I think learning the season and like all of the due dates as they come is also really hard.
I just learned the seasons today from Anna.
Yeah. It's like a publishing specific date thing. It's not just like
Oh yeah,
like
not the
summer.
seasons of the year.
None of us knew our stuff.
What?
We just live here, so we don't know what's going on outside. So
I mean, most
we're
of the
actually
time.
just roommates.
We have no windows.
We've never left this room.
Okay.
Should we
So-
do some like
We're 30 minutes in, and I think we just need to like, I guess, move on quickly or quicker. I can't even say that
Faster?
quickly. Okay, so let's just. All right, I'm gonna ask. I was gonna say Morgan, but since you keep answering the first question, all right. So, Ellie and Kelly, what books have you helped design?
Let's see. Some of the books that are coming.
Pass that on anyway. Yeah.
I know you're working at. I work at interesting books.
I can go.
You're
I'm
ready.
Because I forget. It's only been 9 weeks, but it's been a lot. I got to Hanson, The Wicked King, and right now I just finished working on The Wicked King. And then I just did Wondersmith too, and so those have all been really exciting.
Dang.
Yeah.
I've mostly worked on some really adorable picture books so far, like Abner and Ian and Ping that I love, but listeners probably not be as aware of them. Some of the books we have coming up, though, the next Mysterious Benedict Society book and the next Lemony Snicket book, I'm super excited to work on.
That's so cool.
So those are what I'm most excited for next.
All right, cool. And then for Anna and Rakaya, what is the difference between editorial assistant and assistant editor?
Well, Anna can acquire books,
Yeah,
your own
it's-
books.
It's really mainly a title difference that doesn't come with like any job. Like we have all the same job requirements. The idea is that because I've been doing it for a little longer, I also have sort of the time to read my own submissions and to start acquiring things myself. But we have all of the exact thing. Like we both support 2 people. We both like do all of the same kinds of tasks. It's just sort of like when you're here for about 2 years, you get bumped up.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I think
that's a good
that's
question
really
because
good,
I
yeah.
barely knew that this
Yeah.
difference too.
Thanks.
Although Hannah acquires in her titles editorial assistant, right?
Hannah doesn't follow the law.
Hannah, if you're watching this.
Sometimes when you're an EA, you can acquire stuff.
Okay, cool. All right, I guess like in the same vein, what is the difference between trade and digital marketing? I mean, honestly, it crisscrosses a lot. She does a lot of, like, she does some digital marketing too. Like, she works on the newsletter, she works on the website, like, blog content. She helps me with, like, pictures and stuff. Only because right now there's, like, we're still hiring for 1 person on our team. So, like, Natalie has been really good help with that. But I get to work on some trade things, but I don't really work on like advertising. I don't really work on like the sales stuff. I don't really work on like that kind of behind this, like that kind of stuff. Can't even answer this question, but you can go ahead and try and explain it.
No, I mean, I think that was good.
Yeah, the main difference is that I in digital marketing I'm more digitally facing, so I like do anything that requires like design, that requires like coding, requires like any like digital programs. I'm really bad at explaining this, but yeah.
Yeah, and then I can do things that are like for like advertisements that are going to like possibly like be in print, or like if we're going to like I don't know, make swag, or like make like with picture books, or like middle grade
Like
books,
storytime
we do, like
kits,
storytime
like
kits
book
and like
club guides.
activity like sheets, book club guide discussion sheets, like different like swag material, or like if the holidays are coming up, like I'll help plan to like do like a graphic that says like you should buy these books for the holidays, or stuff like that. So it can be kind of confusing because like I do stuff that like will be online, that will be like digital stuff, but
I think the main things, the main difference is design. Like I do a lot of design work, and she does a lot of like copywriting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like that's the main difference in our two jobs. All right.
I didn't know you knew how to code.
Huh? I do know how to code.
That's
I learned it when I was
amazing.
11
Oh my
on
gosh.
Neopets.
Yes.
Yeah. What?
Do you like a guild on Neopets?
No. Yeah, I
Yeah,
learned
I
how to
remember.
code on
I remember.
Neopets.
Yeah.
So.
That
And,
should
like,
be your fun fact. Like, if
I
you
learned
like,
how to
what's an interesting fact
code.
about you? Like, I learned how to code on you.
Yeah.
That is such a good fun fact.
I know, but I've heard a lot of people learn how to code that way, apparently.
On Neopets, yeah, because
Yeah.
we had to. Okay, I had to.
doing on Neopets?
Because
I wasn't on
Oh,
my username back then was like for everything was like Kachik614634 because I love Kachik, like the Neo. But anyway, all right. So Morgan, I have two questions for you. The first question is, I need to know how Morgan teams her clothes for today.
Oh my god.
Well, that's kind of tough because I feel like I just
Someone made it up. What you put in? You read the pre-sent Google.
they were in there.
Oh my god. No, I didn't.
Well,
Yeah,
I feel
I
like I
sent
need to
out
share
a-
this question with all. Sorry to
No,
interrupt you.
No, go
With all the
No, no,
girly
no.
girls here. But I don't know. Yeah, I use a diffuser. And I do you use it?
No, but send me the link because I want one.
It's actually funny. So I never knew how to do my hair for a really long time, and it was also always really awkward and flat and like weird ringlets. It was just really awkward. So my mom was like, "No, we're taking you to a place to get this done," and they taught me how to use a diffuser and taught me how to do all this. So ever since then, I feel like I've been doing it, but it's still
We'll
just
talk.
yeah, we'll talk. But yeah, I don't brush it all that often, so
Yeah, me neither.
that's how I tame it.
This morning.
Yeah, I just like dry it and there it is. So that's how I tame my curls.
All right, the second,
Another tutorial later.
another 36-hour live stream
Right.
of Morgan.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next question is, does publicity and public relations really in any way?
Yeah, so I would say they do for sure. Public relations, my general idea of it is that it's how a company represents itself to everywhere. And so that could mean to other companies, that could mean to consumers, whatever that means in terms of what that company does. Publicity is a brand or a book, let's say, that is represented to different media outlets. So that's why we mainly pitch, all different kinds of media outlets. So it's kind of how we take the brand. So for example, Dear Evan Hansen, and we pitch it to different media outlets. So for example, Broadway.com. So we're like, this book is coming out, it's gonna be amazing, and it's linked to Dear Evan Hansen, the musical. And so this is why it should be important and you should talk about it on your website because your readers would really enjoy it because they love Dear Evan Hansen. And so the musical. And so that's one thing that is different because we are specifically targeting media outlets rather than just targeting everyone, if that makes sense. And so that's the really fun part about my job is that I get to be in contact with the New York Times and USA Today and Shelf Awareness and all these major outlets that get to discuss our books, and I get to tell them how great they are and why their readers are going to really love them. And so, yeah, I hope that helps. Yeah.
Nancy, she's like, I get to talk to the New York Times. And I'm like,
Every day.
I get to talk to the computer.
Yeah.
I
Maybe I'm like, hi, I'm this talking head. Here's a book that I sent you. Did you get it? And they're like, actually, yeah, we did. So
I did have a quick question for design. Do you guys help design like special editions, like Barnes and Noble exclusives?
Yes, for sure.
From Abby.
Which
From
is-
Abby.
Oh, hi, Abby. So yeah, I think that's another really tough thing to juggle because there are so many editions. So there's a Barnes and Noble edition, there's a large print edition, there's an edition for everything. And like each with different ISBN, so juggling all of them at once because some have the same pub dates. So yes, that's definitely.
All right. Okay. So. All right. For you two, do you think journalists can take part in your kind of work?
I think anyone can.
It's like, could journalists apply to have our job?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Me.
Okay. Next question. All right. I guess this is a question for me and Morgan. What do you look for when giving a blogger or a reader a review copy? You can answer first.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on a lot of different things. I specifically spend a lot of time going through our generic children's publicity inbox and looking for people who are requesting arcs and stuff like that. I like to look for what they're posting, and so if it's relevant to the kind of books that we're publishing, then that's one thing that we like to look for. How many followers they have, which is really good. I know a lot of bloggers are building their followers, so we definitely took that into consideration. But that's one thing you like to look at. There's different things. So we've had people who will contact us and be like, I run a mommy blog and I want to talk about like this book for this particular reason. So for example, like moods, like children's emotions. So that's stuff we look at too. Like if we have a book that's fitting for that need, then we'll definitely contact them and send them. But yeah, it depends. It's a lot of different reasons, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, I do the Novel Book Squad, which is our early review program. We send out like 20 to 30 books every month for bloggers to review and like content creators and whatnot. So what I look for obviously is like quality content. I do look at followers too, and I do look at the amount they post and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you don't have to have like 60 million like followers for me to like send a book and whatnot. It really depends on like the quality of the content, how much they post, and if they actually read the books. Of branding and like brand design, and especially I like studying brand loyalty. And some people have like a huge brand loyalty to Novel, especially in LBYR, and like that honestly, like not that they can't like go to other YA communities or like go to other publishers to ask for books and like review their books, because I definitely think like that's what, you know, we need to all support each other too. But I do like really appreciate it when people review the books that I sent them previously, and I definitely take that into consideration. I read like every single review that anyone sends it, like every single review. I read every single one. Okay. Anyway, that's my feel about it.
Yeah, I also think it's important because I really like, well, you do like this and you don't like this if they didn't like the book, but if someone emails and they're like, I'm requesting a review copy for this because I want to give it an honest and open review, I feel like we appreciate that so much. Like even if you didn't like the book, we'd rather you explain why and be able to describe it in detail than just be like, this book was great and that's it. Like we want you to actually like work with the content and explore it and experience it and write about it. So I think that's important too, not just being like, this book was great, because we love it already. We know it's great.
Yeah, exactly. And then honestly, I think it's okay to not like a book. You know, like everyone has their opinions, and it's honestly good to read books that like you might necessarily like, or like if you don't like it, it's good to have like an opinion about it and everything. So we do look for honest people. But yeah, that's our answer to that. Okay. All right. How is an artist or an illustrator chosen for a cover project?
It depends. There's a lot of different ways. Well, we're working on a book right now where the author is the illustrator. That's usually not the case. If we like need an illustrator for a project, we have relationships with a lot of agencies that house a lot of different illustrators. And like for the Mysterious Benedict Society book, the same illustrator can't work on the interiors. So we contacted an agency we worked with and asked, like, we want to have this particular style. Can you send us some illustrators? And they'll send them, send a couple that they think might fit the project for us. But yeah, there's all kinds of different ways.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
I feel like that's not like there's. So I've had the pleasure of working with Marcy, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that she will sometimes like go on Pinterest and like she is so great at this at like figuring out like having a vision of a design in mind, and so I think I've seen her like go on Pinterest and like find an artist through there. So that's pretty cool. And she'll be like, I really love what this, or is it Pinterest or Etsy? Something like that. But like, I really love what this person is selling on like this mug. And she will look for that artist and contact them. Yeah.
Get your contact info out.
Yeah, I think the process for picture books and
novels?
right varies a little bit. So yeah, it depends.
All right. How did you guys get your first editing internships or editing experience? I guess.
I did an informational interview with someone who was an editor, and they gave me the advice to just start cold emailing agents, which did not work. So then I moved to New York because because a lot of, unfortunately, like a lot of internships you have to be here and they don't really want to hire you if you're remote. So I moved to New York, and then I just started applying just like randomly through the website, and then some of them called me.
I actually started remotely. I got sort of like a foot in because there was an agency that was primarily doing adult literature at the time, and one of the agents wanted to branch out into young adult and middle grade, but wanted someone who had more experience, like having read it to sort of read and give reports, and that could be long distance. And so I sent those to her for about a year while I was living in Boston and going to school. And then I ended up also then later interning and then assisting there.
I actually did something similar. So I was working at the advertising agency and I knew that I wanted to get into publishing. Mm-hmm. So I went on LinkedIn and I found all of the connections that I could. And one woman had gone to App State and worked for HarperCollins and now had her own media company in the UK. And I messaged her and I was like, hey, so I just really want your job. And I get this foot in the door, can you help me? And she sent me this long email and was like, first I need to know if you're serious. And I was like, yes, absolutely. And then she started sending me freelance editor opportunities. So I was freelance and self-published work. And that was awesome. That's all I think I would say with that is ask people, no matter what outlet you're using, LinkedIn, emailing, cold calling, you need to reach out to people or you're never going to be able to make the connection. So I actually did something. Yeah.
I do think if you want to work in a publishing house to any extent, you do have to be living here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it has to be on location kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, I think informational interviews are really helpful, especially if you know someone in the industry or you know someone who has that job, I want your job kind of thing. It's nice to reach out and obviously be professional about it and whatnot. If we're gonna give advice to them and whatnot, don't just at least for me, I don't know about you guys, but let's say you DM someone on Instagram or Twitter and you're just right. I don't know. I just don't think that's as professional, and that doesn't really help you get your foot in the door. As opposed to reaching out via LinkedIn or something, or just finding a way to contact them or through a connection that you know. So for anyone who's watching and interested in getting your foot in the door, definitely
don't DM us.
No, not that it's a bad thing to do that, but I just think if you're gonna try and get into a professional setting, you should be more professional.
Yeah. And I feel it's more intimate. It feels when someone DMs you they're coming up next to you in a bar and being oh, what are you doing? Yeah. And you're I don't know you. Why are you talking to me here? But if someone emails you who you don't know, then it feels very different. It feels they're yeah.
I should have better explained that. I did not say specifically, I want your job. I said, hi, I'm an aspiring editor. I'm really interested in getting into this industry. Do you have any connections or advice? And she was very gracious in helping me in that. So I apologize.
Yeah, no. I've had people who message me, and one of some of my friends are oh, one of my friends are really interested in publishing. Can I put you in contact with them? That's another way to do it too. Yeah. So yeah.
Joining Facebook groups or finding there's this thing called Young to Publishing that is specifically for people who are new to publishing or want to be in publishing. That's a really, really great way to make professional connections and get your foot in the door, especially if you don't know anyone and you don't know my brother's ex-girlfriend's cousin works in publishing, can you make that connection for me? If you have no connections, those kinds of groups are really good.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's nice. All right. Okay, Natalie and I answered a lot of questions already, so I'm trying not to do questions that we would otherwise answer. All right, so what are you reading right now?
I'm reading Blood, Water, Paint, which was just longlisted for the National Book Award, I think. It's really good. It's the story of Artemisia Gentileschi, who was a painter in like Renaissance Italy, who painted very famously Susanna and the Elders, and then Judith beheading Holofernes. And it's mostly in verse, and then it's sometimes prose, which are passages when her mom is talking to her. I'm liking it a lot. It's really good. Yeah.
I've been reading The Sea of Monsters, which is the second Percy Jackson book, for like a month. So.
We have so much reading to do, like for our regular jobs, that it's really hard to come out of that and feel like, what am I going to pursue and read for myself? And also, I have to know for sure that I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to like read more things.
True.
Yeah.
I'm reading Vasa in the Night. It's so cute, like Russian, like folklore. Oh my god, it's really neat. I like it.
Reading The Walls Around Us by Nova Suma. I've got a Suma. It's really good and like creepy. I love it.
Mine's not gonna come as a surprise for anyone who watches our Instagram stories. I'm reading Rich People Problems by Kevin Kwan.
The only thing
that matters to me apparently is Crazy Rich Asians. So I watched it for the 4th time on Tuesday. So all right, go ahead, Natalie.
I'm reading A Visit from the Goon Squad by Jennifer Egan right now. And it's very good. I like it a lot.
So I just finished The Sun and Her Flowers by Ruby Carr for like the 5th time because I saw her in New York, which was amazing. So great. And I just picked up, okay, so I didn't know Stephanie Meyer had written another series until I saw it on one of our take shelves. So I just picked up The Chemist by Stephanie Meyer and I can't wait to start it.
What do you mean you didn't know?
I didn't know. I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't know until I was reading it. I've read the Host and Unfounded series like 50 times each, and then I was looking on Pub Tracker, and it was like Stephanie Meyer published another book, and I'm like, what? So
For anyone who has watched us before, also knows that Morgan loves Twilight.
Is obsessed with Twilight.
Obsessed.
I'm deciding which character it should be for Halloween.
Oh my god.
Well, it's just like I have
if
to
you guys
know.
have suggestions,
Put it in the comments.
We're all gonna be the vampire.
we're all gonna be the. I forget the Cullen family.
Cullens,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know why I forgot
Oh,
that.
sorry, I don't know.
shouldn't have forgotten that. Okay. How do you know which book to read next when you have so much? And what is your reading slump book?
I don't know. I took out the books that I haven't read yet at home and put them on their own shelf to try to shame me into reading it. And I have a rule for myself where I can't, if I want to reread something, I have to alternate between a new book that I already own and like reading something that's either like brand new that I've just bought or rereading something, because otherwise I'll never read them. Like I'm trying to punish myself enough to like, because then they sit there and then you're like, oh, I've had you for 10 years. So I'll generally go based on kind of tone. And then just once I start something, I really try to make myself keep going. But I have 5 books that I'm in the middle of right now because I'm like, oh, I'm tired of this right now. I don't know. Solve this problem for us.
Do they mean books or do they mean submissions? Did you say slash? Books?
Which book to read and what's your reading slump book? So like what book gets you out of the reading slump?
I don't know how I decide. I just pick one. I'm like very particular in that I feel like I can't move on to the next book till I finish one. And then when I was interning at Simon & Schuster, they had a lot of take shelves. So me and Ellie took like 100 books, I'm not even exaggerating. So it's like pretty steep.
It's so hard when you start and you're like, these are free. I have to take them. What if I want to read this someday? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember about you, but I mailed myself books because I couldn't carry them all home.
I took them home in a giant tub.
My husband was not happy. He was like, we don't have room for these. Like, I know. They were free. Reading, how do I know? I'm very much a mood reader. So like sometimes, wow, this is hard. I guess it's like by genre, like very much picked by genre. Does that answer it? Because that's all I got. Yeah. Okay. And then I have like guilty pleasure reads that I can just like go back to. I really love Archer's Voice. Sometimes, okay, my guilty pleasure feels like saucy. The saucy books. Archer's Voice and I think it's Easy by Tamara Weber. Yeah.
Okay. Adding to the stack.
Tell everyone you're.
No.
Kelly?
I want to know.
I I shamed her for it.
No, now
yeah,
you
now
know.
we
really
know.
dumb.
I
I'll tell you
did
mine.
mine.
Mine was Paper Princess by Erin Watt. You guys read it?
Remember that one.
It was like an ebook and it got really popular. So I was like, oh, like, why is this popular? You guys should just look up the first line in the description.
I'm so excited.
She told me this on Tuesday, and then I read
What
it
is
on
it called?
Wednesday.
Paper Princess.
Okay.
Anna, what's your reading slump book?
Oh, nothing. I don't.
All right.
I just admitted to Saucy.
I'm sorry.
Saucy reading slump book.
I put her on the spot.
Kelly.
Oh. Oh. Can I read out loud? Yeah. From strip clubs and truck stops to southern coast mansions and prep schools, one girl tries to stay true to herself.
Wait,
I
what?
I was like reading it, and then in the third chapter, she like punches someone. I was like, well, I gotta keep going now.
Wow, I need that
That's my
in
next
my
one.
life.
Okay.
Okay. I don't actually reread a lot of books unless it was a book I read like 10 years ago or something. I know. I haven't been super into it. I've reread The Catcher in the Rye a lot because I'm an angsty teenager, I guess.
That's your slump book.
That's what made me go through reading.
That's so funny.
Nobody likes
It
this
made me
book.
like reading.
Oh, I read
I
that.
like it.
Yeah.
That's why I was so excited.
I read it in high school, and I was like, wow, teens.
She was like, wow.
No, I related. I was so angsty. I was like, oh my God, Holden gets me. Like, that says enough about who I was at 15. But like, if I'm like ever like just having like a sort of a slump, I usually want to pick up like a really fast paced YA or something because it's like impossible to put down. And then I'm excited about reading again. So yeah.
I alternate between a book I want to read and a book for work. So, I mean, sometimes like they like coincide,
You
but
saying
like.
you don't want to read books?
Are you saying that you haven't read every single book? No. Yeah, so I like alternate. There are like a lot of books that we published like before I started here that I want to read, but my reading slump book is The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dawson. That's my reading slump book. That or The Great Gatsby. I read that like too many times. Too bit. Anyway, that's really interesting. Crazy Rich Asians, great book. Anyway, just like
I had to read The Great Gatsby for high school, and I didn't like really read it, so I didn't realize he died at the end. And I got exposed. It's old enough.
Jeez, how do I decide what I'm gonna read next? I feel like I'm like a seasonal reader, so like I'll read books that like are like maybe not necessarily like associated with certain seasons, but it's just like has the feeling of that season. So like I'll read like a lot of like cheesy like YA like super like flowery like summery romance books. Like in the summer I'll be like I need my Stephanie Perkins and like in the fall I'm just like I want death. I want like creepy,
That's been so
creepy stuff. Yeah, or I'm Killer 5. This has become a book wreck anyway. Or Dead House, Dead. And then I'll like go read books about being cold in the winter. It's just like a 600 pages of being cold. Never mind.
The coldest girl in
Coldest
Cold
girl.
Town.
Yeah. I am the coldest girl. But yeah, so I'll be drawn to things by season. Slump books, I don't really. I think it's Anna and the French Kiss. I think that's my. It's just Anna. Anna's my slump book. No, but that book always made like it's just God, I love that book. It just makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. I'm just like, God damn it, I love books. Yeah, that's mine. What's yours?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of a season or something. The reason that I pick up stuff next, I pretty much just go to Barnes and Noble or a bookstore and pick out what is intriguing. I'll go from anywhere from like classics to mystery to romance to whatever, or anything that my friends suggest. I feel like is always on my next list. So I don't know. I don't really have like a go to next book process.
Oh, okay.
But that was a question, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I got distracted. I'm like, I do that. My slump books. I really love rereading stuff, and so I like TV shows. I'll watch a TV show a million times over before I start a new one, and like read a book another time because I love experiencing it again. And so, like Twilight,
I knew she was.
I'm looking right at it. I cannot say it, but like all of Lauren Oliver's books, that always gets me out of a rut. Like I am obsessed with Delirium. The Delirium series is so good. Also the classics. So I'll always go back to F. Scott Fitzgerald or John Cheever. They're my two faves. Love them, especially F. Scott Fitzgerald. They just came out with all of his like short stories and some screenplays that he didn't get published. It's called I'd Die for You, and it's all of his like secret works that I always just like cherish. I'll read like one at a time, and it's really nice, and it always reminds me of like the magic of words. Okay, I'll end on that.
Okay. So we're like an hour in right now. So I guess the last question that Dawn Kurtovich asked is she's wondering what we're all doing for Halloween. Well, I know what I'm doing on Halloween. I'm having a live stream with Dawn. So that's, unless she says no to that, then I guess. But actually, LB Wire has a Halloween party, and this year it's on a Wednesday, I think, right? Yeah, Halloween's on a Wednesday. So we all actually, I guess like I don't know if all of us do, but most of us like dress up as like a book character from one of our books. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what I'm doing on Halloween, and I'm going to a rave. Anyway, wait, can I come? You want to come to a rave? What are you doing tomorrow?
Wait, nothing. I'm free.
Guys.
You go ahead. What are you doing, guys? What are you doing, Kelly?
I'm gonna be at work, of course.
I purposely said it quietly, but now it's anyway. Go ahead.
Oh man. Ooh, I don't know. I don't have any plans yet. Other than trying to decide what to dress up for here. Although because we were talking about Twilight, I'm like, wait a second, that's a good, easy idea.
We could do a group costume.
Like honestly, I do have sparkles. Like, come on.
Oh, there's that in Twilight.
They do sparkle.
So that seems like a good idea because apparently for the Halloween parties, people dress up as characters that we published. So trying to come up with something for that.
Guys, Team Twilight, I'm gonna join.
Yeah. We're gonna make this.
Dreams coming
Morgan
true.
is just dying.
I'm just meet Bella. Just meet Edward.
I think Morgan.
Morgan.
Half She'll be both.
Anyway.
I'm old, so like I don't have plans. Is that I don't have anything. Sorry. I'm a grandma. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be cold, and when it's cold, like you can find me watching Halloween Town and Hocus Pocus. Yes.
That sounds
that's
amazing.
probably
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, that's where I'll be.
We have Kings Dominion in Virginia. I don't know if you guys know what Kings Dominion is. It's an amusement park, and at nighttime, scary things will chase you through the park. I'm gonna do that.
It's Six Flags.
I'm like,
Fright
that
Fest.
sounds terrible. Fright Fest, yeah, that's what it's called.
You go to that on purpose. Oh, now we know what we're doing on Halloween in the office, Anna.
I love being scared. And then I'm gonna watch the new Sabrina show because it looks scary-ish.
Sometimes when people just come up behind me and tap me on the shoulder and I don't know they were there, I like jump 3 feet.
Oh, I think I've scared you before.
Yeah. In college, this guy used to stand like at the bus stops with like a mask on and like hold a chainsaw, and he would just chase people around. And then one time, like I got off the bus and he started like coming at me, and I just stood there and I stared at him, and then he was like. And he just walked away. So that's how you should handle.
Why wasn't he
That's scary. I want to.
I don't know why. Listen.
Now we're like, he might actually be trying to kill me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of chainsaw that is. Real, fake?
I don't know. He didn't turn it on, so it was just like a.
So you're like, all right.
Scary tactic. What if you accidentally like was coming at you and just threw it?
I guess that's it.
He's
He's still there.
I think I might die.
Is he still
No,
there?
he was a student. Yeah, it was mean. Hope he got expelled.
Yeah.
What's your Halloween costume?
What am I doing for Halloween? not going to a scary thing. I'm probably playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm in an Animorphs themed Dungeons and Dragons. We can spend the rest of this live podcast.
Now it's a 36-hour live stream.
I'll
Everyone will just take turns
Oh,
until the week. Of doing
Yeah,
this.
no, there's 7 of us, so every single day will be a different
Yeah. Live stream.
live stream, 24 hours, and then we'll just
We're
switch.
just gonna have a lot.
Alright.
Oh, what am I doing?
She's dressing up as Bella
I
and
have a great costume idea now. It's gonna be awesome. I don't really have any plans right now. My friend is coming in town the weekend before, so I'm sure we'll celebrate then. But during the week, I like to sit at home and watch One Tree Hill and drink tea. So we'll probably do that.
I don't have any plans.
Do you want to go to a rave?
I guarantee you, I will be at work the next day, so I'm just saying. You want to go to a rave? Yes, I want to go to a rave. We'll talk about that.
It's out now.
Oh, actually, the rave is actually in the NPR in this office, so we're just gonna.
Wait, is it?
No. Now it is.
So convenient.
Now it is Twilight theme.
There was a question that I was really
Oh, the
curious
race.
about.
What type of
What
dog?
type of dog are you guys?
I'm a cat.
I was gonna say I don't know anything
That
about
was
dogs.
the
I'm also a
truest
cat.
statement.
Can I just say, I learned such an interesting thing in a meeting yesterday that dogs on covers sell better than cats on covers.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Yeah.
This only nominally has to do with what was just said, but
No.
it's
It's
true.
just misogyny.
Except
I just thought it was so interesting. Anyway,
What type of dog am I?
What type of dog are you?
I wouldn't classify as a dog. Everyone probably can guess what I would classify as.
Right.
Yeah, a rabbit.
I've always wanted a hedgehog.
She was projecting.
You're so cute.
I'm a hedgehog.
We have to morph this question into
What kind of
what
animal?
kind of animal would you be?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be a rabbit.
A rabbit? What would you be, Morgan?
Like a husky or a wolf.
You know why?
Okay,
Be a husky or a wolf?
Okay, so
I think we know why.
Like that girl in 3rd grade. Actually, I'm a wolf.
Okay, everyone needs to go look up their Myers-Briggs personality test, and then they need to look up what animal they'd be, because mine is a wolf.
What's your Myers-Briggs type?
INFJ.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we're all like basic.
Wait, who else is an INFJ?
Are you an INFP?
I haven't known
ENTJ.
I've taken it back and forth.
Back
I'm an INFP too.
Oh, I don't
Yeah, INFPs in
I'm an ENTJ. That's called the commander.
I have only met like other INFJs in publishing.
Really?
Like, I have never
So
met other
weird.
Well, no, I have another friend who's an INFJ, but
it's a very INFJ job, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it's the
not
smallest
INFP
portion of personality.
It's like
So there's
I'm
only like
nerd.
7% of the population has. I'm really into personality
Well,
tests. Only 7% of the
It's
population.
call our house down here.
So it's really small.
Have you seen the new book about Myers-Briggs?
No.
There's a new one out.
You
Just talking about the history of it. It's really interesting.
Just
Yeah.
I am this test.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Alright.
Everyone
Everyone
is
is
taking
taking
it
it right now.
right now.
Right
Right
now.
you the BuzzFeed article that has all the animals.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Apparently, okay, so you're a wolf,
I'm a wolf.
not because of Twilight, but because of
No, because I'm obviously Team Edward. It's
Questionable.
gonna be a wolf.
she wrote a love letter. To
Ellie,
Edward.
what would you
Yeah,
be?
what would you? A hedgehog?
Oh, the hedgehog.
You-
Actually,
you're
an
an hedgehog.
elephant.
An elephant? Okay, elephant.
When I pre-read these answers, I said cat, and she stole my answer. So.
Oh.
That's just why we're friends.
See, the thing is, like, I usually also say I'm not a dog, I'm a cat, but I'm like, recently I've been thinking, like, I think that I'm a really, either like a really old dog or like a really, like, unusually friendly cat, because, like, I can be like a dog, I can be, like, really friendly and really open and stuff, but I only want to do it for, like, 10 minutes. And so I'm like, pet me, and then goodbye, like retreat back into like my corner.
You're like my first cat. That's what she was like. She's just dead now.
Oh,
But that's a really nice personality type. That's a really good cat.
I'm just gonna believe you. Cool.
She lived a really long time.
Yes. Anyway. Anyway, all right. It was fun hanging out with you guys. On that note, we will end this live stream. But yeah, if you guys want us to do it again, would you? They're like unsubscribe, right? Like goodbye.
Check your subscribers.
Right, check out subscribers. It's like
Y'all
600
didn't answer my
Next
job
time we should
question.
do a lightning round. Pressure's on.
All right.
No,
You
no.
say something and then
right now?
Do you want to do it?
Sure, popcorn. I don't know, lightning round.
All right. Okay, we'll just end it here. I'm like lightning round. She's like popcorn. Like we're gonna pick up a book and do that popcorn reading thing where we're popcorn working and then Twilight.
I got really stressed out.
All right, cool. So it was really nice hanging out with you guys. Really nice getting to know you guys better.
Questions.
Yeah, so thank you for joining our live stream, or if you're watching this afterwards, thank you for watching it afterwards. So
God bless your soul.
yeah, I'm gonna walk up to the camera to turn it off, so you guys can just awkwardly. Now we go back to not being
Just
friends.
watching now.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Not yet.